Hello, my name is Brady. Welcome welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I hope you brought your crayons because we're coloring today. And if you're not new here and you've been here before, I hope you brought your crayons because we're coloring today. Coloring isn't color grading, so I guess you don't really need your crayons. It doesn't matter. So over the course of the past couple of years in Resolve, my roller coaster of learnings as far as color grading has gone has just been all over the map. But now I've really streamlined a great method that is efficient, but also honestly the most beautiful way that I would color grade any of my footage anyway. And that's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to work through kind of my workflow of how I color grade my footage on a day-to-day basis. And also talking about a tool that I use every single day that I'm color grading, and that is Phantom Luts. Phantom Luts are honestly the best thing, and I swear by them. I promise you, they make everything just look so beautiful, especially so fast. I never thought I was supposed to use Luts, so I avoided stuff like Phantom Luts for the longest time. But now that I have tried them, I don't know how to color grade any other way, and I genuinely mean that. So what this video is going to look like is me just going through a wide variety of many different clips from many different times, many different looks, and talking about how I would grade those on a day-to-day basis, especially using Phantom Luts. So I don't even want to waste any more time. I just want to jump into it because there's a lot that's going on here. All right, so we've got a bunch of different clips. Most of them you have seen. These are some of the Malibu ones. This is the beer spec. We've got some from Seattle, a project that it's actually yet to be released. Random shots here, and these are all FX6 shots, and then we've got some pocket 4K shots as well. Because with the Phantom Luts, it's not specific to just one camera. You've got options for the FX6, the FX3, Sony A7S III, Blackmagic Pocket 4K, a bunch of different options, and all of these are RE conversion Luts. I forgot to mention in the beginning. So really everyone's just trying to emulate this RE color science, and Joel has done it beautifully. So to streamline my workflow, I've come up with this power grade right over here that I just keep there called Node Tree. And we're gonna walk through it. And ultimately, it's just a handful of nodes that I typically would use. And some of them I don't always use, and I just kind of darken those out. Typically, it's these vignette and sharpens. But first off, we've got this LUT CST. I call it LUT CST because if you don't have a LUT like this Phantom LUT, you can use a color space transform, and a color space transform ultimately would be putting in your camera's color science, S-Gamut 3 Cine, S-Log 3, and it's going to convert it to a Rec 709 profile. In my personal opinion, the color space transform in DaVinci Resolve is nothing compared to the Phantom LUT. I always resort to that, and it just looks amazing. So let's go ahead. The first thing that I do here is add in this Phantom LUT, and it's typically a neutral Rec 709 one. But you can see here, there's you've got a handful of different options. But for now, we're just gonna go for this neutral FX6 one. And you can see, I mean, you can slap this in and you can be done. Just right there, it's absolutely beautiful. But going through, before the LUT, before that conversion, I always give the option for some sort of white balance adjustment. If it's too cool, if it's too warm. I love right where it's at, right where I exposed. So in this case, we'll just keep it right there. And then some pre-exposure as well. If I really exposed everything, say I exposed it way too dark and I just wanted to boost it up a little bit, I would do so, but I'm really happy. I mean, I might brighten it up just a little bit, but I'm happy where it's at going into the LUT. And then after the LUT, I mean, so where we're at right now, again, it's you could be out the door with that. But after the LUT following that, I add in a look node as well, where I might just tweak my primaries just to play around with the colors, see which direction I want to go. And even if I'm looking at it and I'm happy with how it looks, sometimes I'll just tweak things and say like, oh, okay, I actually like where that warmth is going. Or I'll, drag down in the shadows or add some warmth into the shadows and really ask myself, do I like how that looks? And in this case, I might bring up a little bit of warmth and magenta into the highlights. But really, one thing I've noticed is less is a lot more with these. I mean, originally I found myself using this LUT, but then having a bunch of key selections and qualifiers and all this stuff, and I was like, why am I doing this? It's just making it look worse. So going into this look, maybe a little bit of warmth into there, and oftentimes I'll find myself adding in a little bit of like this blue cyan into the shadows, just a little bit of greenish blue. And you can see it just adds a little bit more contrast between these warm highlights and these shadows. And we can call it there. Now the exposure adjustment is where I really dial everything in, and the reason I have that exposure adjustment following the look node is because a lot of the times I'll like to bring down the highlights and kind of pinch the highlights with these midtones to ease off of this roll off that you see. It just eases up a little bit and makes it a little bit less drastic and sharp, and I'd say more filmic, if you will. So the reason that I do that afterwards is that because I'm crunching these highlights and shadows together, when I'm applying the look to the highlights or the midtones, it's kind of gonna be mushed all in one part of the waveform, and I just like that when the waveform is a little bit more split, you can have a little bit more flexibility as to what you want to put in the highlights and what you want to put in the midtones. So that's my just personal preference of what I will typically do, what I've found is to be best. And then these two here, I really don't frequently use them as much. Sometimes when I want a vignette, I'll just add in, you know, a really small vignette, say around faces, make that super soft, say 45 or so. Come over here and then drag that down. Sharpen I will rarely use just because the FX6 is already really sharp, so we'll turn it off for now. And then these two are where I always use these, and I've been loving glow and grain more than ever nowadays. So you can see when you pull this threshold down, this is telling Resolve what you want to glow. And I'm sorry, I forgot to add it to the soft light. I always go to soft light as well. And now obviously off the jump, it just looks absolutely terrible. But you can see where it starts to split and where you're telling Resolve when you pull this threshold back what you want to glow. And it's essentially similar to a diffusion filter or a mist filter. It's not gonna have the same effect because it's done in post, but I usually go till I see, you know, the face, the sky, that looks great. And obviously it's still way too strong, so that's when you go into this global blend down there. I always drag it back, drag it all the way there, see the drastic differences, and then find somewhere in between. And I usually find myself sitting right around here. And then the grain is the last thing that I'll add. Grain. Something I adopted from Lewis Potts, who if you don't follow Lewis, you need to because he's a lot better than I am. But I got this from his channel. I don't know if he knows that or not, but 16mm 500T is what he used in some of his videos, and he pulls this grain size down to, I want to say like 1.65, in that range, 1.5. Brings the grain strength up to about 5. And I like to bring this softness down to 1.47. It just gives this really nice grain. And I can't take credit for that because that is all his doing. So ultimately we've got, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, I guess 6 or 7 nodes, 6.5 nodes. And let's just walk through, and we'll walk through these all. I mean, white balance, we didn't do anything. We exposed a little bit prior to the node. We just brought everything up a little bit more, added, you know, a little bit of separation to this look. You see some warmth in the highlights and some cool tones in the shadows. Polish off that exposure. You can see that it really makes a difference on his cheekbone as well. Softens off those highlights nicely. We added a vignette, and then that glow, and then that grain. And the same thing applies here. And honestly, when I first applied the LUT to this clip, I was like, there's nothing I need to do. Whenever I apply these phantom LUTs, I'm like, that's all I need to do. So I'll always play around a little bit, and I found that in this clip, I liked in the highlights just adding a little bit more magenta into the sky. It just adds a little bit more of this sunset feel. You can see that it's got a little bit of like a weird blue green. So I just dragged that gain straight up, ultimately right there. And I don't even need to touch these the adjustments because I got it all in camera. And then because I'm going for a silhouette look here, I'll leave the gain where it's at now, and I'll kind of pull down this gamma because you can see it adds a lot of contrast into the clouds when I pull this down. And then I'll work a lot of the times with the lift and the gamma. I'll pull the lift up just to give myself a little bit more pull to pull down those midtones. And ultimately it's barely doing anything, but it's just adding a little bit deeper exposure into the sky entirely. Not even gonna touch these vignette sharpen. Turn that back on. Not even gonna touch those. And then of course our glow and our grain, which I'm always utilizing these, and we'll do it once more. soft light, and then you can see this. You can really see the split here of where this glow is coming into play. And I like it just glowing the sky and the edge of those clouds right here. So we've got that in place. Bring the blend all the way back. You really see like drastically what it does. That's way too much. I always find myself somewhere around this 0.4 range. And then our grain, and it's that simple with these things, and it looks so nice. And genuinely, the only reason why I talk about these Phantom Luts so much is because they do so much for my workflow. They do so much for my work. I even add them into my camera as well. So in the FX6, I have them all as a preview LUT, so I can bounce around and try out different looks and know immediately when I go into the color grading process, I know that I've already got this preview LUT that I dialed things in camera. So it's just one seamless workflow from camera into the post-production process. And it makes my life so much easier. But there's not just this neutral as well. So I've got this shot from Seattle, which is, you know, Seattle is, it's very moody and blue and cool. So immediately I was like, I know the perfect LUT for this. And you can go in and I mean, you can sample. There's Jamaica, which it's really pulls towards this green side of things, and I love the look of it, not particularly for this. Neutral is just gonna be your neutral TrueRec 709. Tungsten, I've found tungsten to be great in tungsten light sources. It just pulls a little bit of the hard warmness off of your lights. But let's see, my favorite one for this is this ice blue cool, which I love cool tones, so it looks so good. Let's come back to play here. But let's talk about what I want to do a little bit with this. And that's the thing about LUTs. You're not gonna slap a LUT on and be good to go out the door. That's not the point of LUTs. The LUTs are supposed to set you up as a foundation for your color grading process and developing your look. So I put in this LUT here. I've got the ice blue cool one because I know I want a cool tone to it, but I just want to dial that in a little bit more in the look tab. And I really like in this really cool area and just pulling in a lot of these cool tones, this grunginess. And then you'll notice a lot of the times you get this really washed out look, and everything starts to feel kind of monochromatic. So I'll go into the log wheels, which really select a little bit more acute parts of the waveform. And you can see right here, I mean, this is exaggerated of course, but in all these dark shadows, you're kind of neutralizing that washed out blue look just a little bit, and then I'm selecting that range of where I want. You can see how it really pulls back that washed out look. And I'm just gonna pull in a little bit there, nothing too crazy. But now in this look, we're adding in a lot more of this like grungy coolness and this green cyan, I don't know what you like, Chernobyl kind of look, let's call it that. And then afterwards, now that I've got the look dialed in, going towards this green area, that's when I'm gonna make this just dark. Just bring everything down, my levels down. How do I wanna do that? I'm gonna start with probably the gain, neutralize that, and then pull that there. And it's just got this really cool dark look. Vignette, not even gonna use these. Don't even worry about that. And glow, in this shot particularly, you really see the effect that glow has. When you've got the threshold up there, you can see it just come down from the sky down into the city. It's actually kind of really fascinating for me. Maybe it's because I'm a nerd, but I like what I'm looking at here is this gradient on the building. I kind of want to split that with this nice glowing threshold. You can see how like halfway through, I like how it adds this gradient and this contrast, and that's where I'll probably bring it right about there. Go back to the blend. Go crazy there. Bam. Grain, same thing. I should honestly just keep that on my power grade because it's every single time. It's every time. Bam, there we go. It's such a cool... What happened? What happened? I'm not even in Premiere. And we're back. That's weird. I don't know what happened. And then a lot of the times, once I dial in this look that I want, I've got these 4 scenes from Seattle. I'll select them all, I'll apply the grade, and it just looks, wow, This is the first time I'm grading these, and I like this. I've always loved creative looks and gone a little bit more towards the colorful side of things instead of a traditional straight how you see it in real life kind of thing. So this is the first time I've seen these, and I like the look of them. I've never graded that before. But that doesn't matter. And a lot of what you're looking at here is FX6 footage that I've been going through just because I love my FX6. But prior to having the FX6, as all of you know, I shot on the Pocket 4K, and I just was struggling all the time to color grade on the Pocket 4K without it like breaking apart and looking muddy. And then I finally found Phantom Luts. I had heard it over and over again, and I was like, I don't need Luts, I don't need Luts. And then I got a hold of them, and I mean, you can let's just do it on these as well. Apply that same node tree. You go in here, Pocket 4K, and then literally just one click, it already looks beautiful. And then you can add in your look some warmth, however you want to do that. This is obviously very expedited, a little bit of cool in the shadows. Let's just do that node, the look node, glow, and grain. That's not how you spell glow. Glow and grain, and just see how much better it looks. Feather it right there. I just want the sky to glow with a little bit of the grass. Bam, right there. And the grain. Like, it looks so good. So that's my process. And the same goes for here. Let's just apply that really rushed. It looks so good. So that's my process. This is what I do. Now, I'm not telling you to buy Phantom Luts. I'm not telling you not to buy Phantom Luts. But what I'm saying is that for such a low cost, they've made my process of color grading and also in-camera preview so much easier. And I genuinely think that it's an investment that anybody should make if you want to, improve the look of your shots. It's not for everybody. Everybody has their own workflow. That's why I say I'm not pushing this on you. But personally, it's helped me significantly. I'm going to leave a lot of information down below that I missed so you can read all about what Joel has done and what Joel has created with his Phantom Luts. He's also got Film Luts on his website as well. So please go check all of that out in the link that I've got put there below. Oh, and I almost forgot, actually. Let's do it right now. The giveaway. Our giveaway from a couple weeks back. I'm gonna do this right now while we're here. You can't see it. I don't want you to see it first. I want to see it first. But we're ready. So the 300D that I gave away 3 weeks ago, 3 videos back, on my 100K video. So I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I'm gonna do it. Who's it gonna be? One winner. Who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be? Stephen Beavers from South Africa, Cape Town, South Africa. Stephen Beavers. Stephen, you got yourself a light coming your way. Dare I say it's lit? That's a terrible pun. I don't want to end on that. I should just cut it beforehand. Either way, thank you to each and every one of you who participated in the giveaway, who participated in the 100K subscribers that I have, for all the support. I cannot thank you enough. So that's where we're gonna end with our color grading video and our giveaway video, a little tail end finish to it. Again, I'm gonna leave everything down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you didn't enjoy this video, that's totally fine. But I hope you do, I really do. That's all. So I'll see you next week, and talk to you later. Bye.